You hang suspended over the Caribbean waves, one hand desperately gripping a fraying rope, the other reaching for nothing but salt-soaked air. The edge of a cutlass kisses your throat, and you can feel every heartbeat pulse against its cold steel. Welcome to your job interview, pirate style. Join or feed the fish, cabin boy. The scarred face above you splits into what might be a grin, or might be a snarl. Hard to tell with half his teeth missing. 15 years of living hasn't prepared you for this moment. Then again, being an orphan on the streets of Bristol hadn't prepared you for much except surviving. And right now, that's all that matters. Below you, the afternoon sun paints the waves a deceiving, peaceful blue. The merchant ship you'd called home for the past year gently rocks beside the massive pirate vessel that caught her. Like a Minecraft villager facing a creeper, you know exactly how this ends. The screams from the main deck have mostly stopped now. Funny how quickly surrender happens when there's a blade at your throat and your captor looks like he flosses with barbed wire. Your potential new employer is getting impatient. Tick-tock, boy, fish ain't got all day. A splash somewhere behind you emphasizes his point. Probably another crew member making their choice. The wrong choice. You think about the orphanage master who always said you'd end up swinging from a rope. Well, at least the rope part is accurate. Your first test of survival isn't fighting or plundering. It's saying a yes before your throat becomes a second smile. The words barely squeak out. I'll join. The cutlass disappears, replaced by a rough hand yanking you back onto solid deck. Welcome to the Black Barrels crew, your new captain announces with all the warmth of a hungry shark. You've got one day to prove you're worth more alive than dead. How's that for your first hour in piracy? No time to celebrate though. You've got 24 hours to learn tasks that most sailors take years to master. Your hands are shaking, but they better steady quick. There's rigging to climb, knots to tie, and 100 ways to die if you mess up either. Make that 101. Welcome to your crash course in piracy. First lesson. Everything on a pirate ship is trying to kill you. The ropes, the sails, the crew, even the splinters. Your hands look like you've been arm wrestling with a porcupine, and that's just from your first hour of training up the mainmast. Fresh meat. Your new supervisor is a one-eyed brute they call Patch. Real creative, these pirates. The mainmast stretches up like a tower, swaying with each wave. Fun fact, falling from that height doesn't just kill you, it gives the sharks a pre-tenderized meal. But here's the thing about growing up on the streets. You learned early that surviving means adapting fast. And that's why we don't climb after rum hour. Patch grunts, not even bothering to look overboard. By sunset, you're scrambling through the rigging like you were born to it, making mental notes of which ropes look more trustworthy than your new crewmates. The months blur together like rum and seawater. You've graduated from powder monkey to proper crew member, which means more responsibilities and more creative ways to die. The crew stopped betting on when you'll get killed. Now they're betting on how. Your odds are split between swallowed by storm and stabbed over stolen rum. You never understood why everyone was so afraid of scurvy until old Pete tried to tell you a joke one morning. Why'd the pirate skip church? He grins, his bleeding gums turning his smile into something from a nightmare. The punchline is lost forever as his remaining teeth stage a mass exodus, abandoning ship like rats from a sinking vessel. You stare at his soup, now featuring a disturbing new garnish. Well, old Pete mumbles through his newly spacious mouth, at least I won't need to floss anymore. After that, you become the ship's most enthusiastic orange eater. Nothing motivates a healthy diet quite like watching someone's teeth retire early. The crew found old Pete's dental disaster hilarious, of course. Pirates have a twisted sense of humor about everything, especially each other's misfortunes. That's just how things work here, where politics flow as freely as alcohol. Every crew member has alliances, grudges, and secrets. Your street-smart instincts serve you well here. You know when to speak, when to stay quiet, and most importantly, when to pretend you're too busy cleaning the cannon to hear anything incriminating. Nature decides to test your newfound confidence with your first major storm. The sky turns black as pitch. Waves tall as church steeples crash over the deck. Secure that sail before we capsize. Captain's orders boom over the howling wind. You're already moving, scaling the rigging like a spider on rum. Something's changed. You're not that terrified cabin boy anymore. You're a pirate who's learned to dance with death and occasionally step on its toes. Your quick thinking saves not just the sail, but 3 crew members, though unfortunately not the guy who thought holding onto the anchor chain was a good idea. Well, that's one way to visit Davy Jones, you mutter, helping another sailor to safety. That night, as the storm calms, you're invited to share rum with the veteran crew. It tastes suspiciously like bilge water, but you've never had a sweeter victory. Your reputation grows with each passing adventure. You're known for being clever, quick with both rope and wit, and surprisingly good at not dying, a valuable skill in this line of work. Your first real command comes during a raid on a Dutch merchant vessel. The captain's either testing your potential or running out of options. Hard to tell with his poker face. Either way, you're suddenly in charge of a boarding party, and everyone's waiting to see if leadership suits you better than that stolen officer's coat you're wearing. Spoiler, at least the coat fits. Your plan is brilliantly desperate. While the main crew creates a distraction at the bow, you lead your team up the stern using grappling hooks and pure audacity. But when one trigger-happy pirate turns your stealthy raid into a gunpowder party, you improvise. Fire in the hold, you yell, even though there isn't one yet. In the chaos of your manufactured panic, your team secures the cargo hold, while the Dutch crew is busy throwing water at imaginary flames. The captain calls it unconventional tactics. Patch just calls it crazy crazy enough to work. Then comes the fever that sweeps through the crew like a ghost. With half the crew delirious and the other half close to mutiny, you keep the ship running through equal parts medicine, threats, and creative lying about how close you are to the next port. 3 days to land, you tell them on Monday. 3 days, you repeat on Wednesday. Still 3 days, you insist on Friday. Turns out geography is flexible when your crew is too feverish to read a map. Life has a funny way of coming full circle, like a compass pointing back to where you started. Except this compass actually works. 20 years have passed since you dangled over those Caribbean waves, and now you're watching another merchant crew face the same choice you once did. The fear in their eyes. It's the same fear you once wore like a second skin. Their captain's dead. Got brave with a pistol, braver with his last words. "You'll never take my ship," he declared, pulling the trigger with dramatic flair. Turns out checking if your pistol is loaded should come before the dramatic one-liners. His crew, though, they've got that hungry look. The desperate one. The nothing-left-to-lose sparkle that makes veterans like you nervous. But you remember being that scared cabin boy, so you argue for mercy. Give them a chance, you tell your captain. He agrees, probably because you saved his life in that nasty business with the Portuguese last month. You should have remembered. Desperate men are dangerous men. The new recruits learn quickly, ask all the right questions, laugh at all the right jokes. But you notice things others don't. The whispers that stop when you approach. The way they cluster together during watch changes. The missing daggers from the weapons store, though that last one might just be Patch's terrible inventory skills again. It happens during the midnight watch. You're at the helm, watching the stars dance across the black Caribbean night sky when you hear it, the soft padding of too many feet for a regular watch change. "Bit late for a social call, lads," you say without turning. Moonlight reveals what starlight concealed. You're surrounded by shadows with sharp edges. The new recruits, led by that young firebrand who reminds you so much of yourself. Well, maybe not that much like yourself. Your hand inches towards your pistol, but you already know how this ends. A true pirate goes down fighting. "Funny," you say as you draw your weapon. "This is exactly how I started. You managed to take 2 of them with you before the rest rush in. You lads might want to work on your gratitude, you quip, and your personal hygiene." As you fall, watching your own blood paint abstract art on the deck, you can't help but laugh at the irony. You survived storms, battles, disease, and 100 other ways to die, only to be done in by the same mercy you once received. Your final thought as the stars fade to black is that maybe this is how pirates are supposed to go. Not from a noose or a cannonball, but from failing to spot when history is about to repeat itself. They'll probably tell stories about you in port taverns. The clever pirate who rose from cabin boy to legend, only to die by the same kindness that once saved him. But they'll get it wrong, as they always do. Because the real story isn't about how you died, it's about how you lived, one day at a time, one survival